Hey everybody, Ken Newhouse with you today, and today we're going to cover the three core pillars of magnetic marketing messages. In order to consistently attract the right customers with your content and your marketing, you're really only going to talk about three core pillars. So let's take a look at each one on the next series of slides. Number one, first question, first pillar, what do you say? There's so much you could talk about with your ideal prospects that would help them, but you actually have to know what is the perfect thing to say in your content and also in your marketing. Number two, what message is going to be the most magnetic versus what's going to actually suck and bog them down. Number three, what's going to be the most valuable to them versus what's going to fall flat because they're totally disinterested in it. How do we tell the difference? Well, let me explain it for you here. And let me actually apologize. I'll have to take an occasional drink of water or do the awkward throat clear. I'm a bit under the weather today, but I've had so many people ask me when this video training was going to be done. I felt the need to go ahead and press through the fever and actually get it done. But in order to know how to write, record, and produce irresistible content, we want to use something called the escape and arrival framework. The escape and arrival framework is based entirely on human nature. It's based on the fact that all that your prospects really care about are the things that they want, not what you want to sell them, but the things they want, which really is what are they, the end result they want to achieve. So in the simplest possible terms, here's what your prospects and customers want. They want to escape from where they don't want to be. Sounds kind of simple. And in some cases, that could actually be literal, and they want to arrive at a more desirable place. As an example, they may have one result they're getting that's unappealing to them, and they want to escape from it. Conversely, they want to arrive at the place where they do want to be. In other words, they want to arrive at the place where they're getting the results that they want. Pretty simple. So your job is to map out your prospect's escape route, if you will, and then start distributing your content in a way that helps them arrive at their desired state or place. And we do this, it's a very simple process to do by following the escape and arrival framework. I gotta tell you that every bit of marketing and selling I've done over the last 8 years plus and running is built on this particular framework. This is the single most important and effective methodology I've ever discovered and deployed. So what exactly is the escape and arrival framework? The escape and arrival framework, first, let's actually map it out on two levels and make it easier. Number one is the global level. This is the first framework that we're going to actually map out together. This is where we figure out all the stuff your prospect must do to escape from their current situation and arrive at their desired situation. By doing this, we get a big and very clear picture of all the stuff they've got to do to accomplish their goals and be successful. Now, once we've created and built our big picture, then we're actually going to drill down deeper into what's called the milestone. Number two, the milestone level. This is where we take one specific thing from that big list that we just created, the global framework. We take one specific thing that your prospect has to accomplish in order, in that process, and we're going to actually focus on that one particular thing. Now, I know this might sound a bit confusing, but in about 90 seconds or less, you're going to have total clarity and completely understand what I'm talking about. So just bear with me. The global and milestone exercises that we're going to do, we're actually going to use a tool in this process, which is called the timeline method. I've actually illustrated that for you in the next several slides. I'm going to actually show you the entire process, or this entire exercise, by way of example. We're going to build first our global escape and arrival framework, and then we'll actually move into the milestone level. But first, let's go ahead and hit the global framework first. Now, the goal of the first exercise is to clearly identify the milestones your prospects have to go through in order to escape from where they are, and to arrive where they want to be. So let's take a look at what I'm referring to in these next several slides. Step one: the first thing we want to do is get out a piece of paper. And you have to have a green piece of paper like the one I'm about to show you. I'm just kidding. Get out just a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. You'll be fine. You want to draw a little circle on the left side of the paper, and that's going to represent the place they want to escape from, like this. Okay? Now, step two, On the other side of the paper, we want to write the result they want to arrive at. So draw another little circle on the right side of the paper. And then you'll just draw a line that connects these 2 points right down the middle. Pretty simple. This is your basic timeline, and now that we've created this, we can start adding in what we call milestones. Milestones are the actions, the things they must accomplish in order to arrive at their desired destination or the result. Let me give you an example so you can see how this would kind of play out in real life. Let's say, for example, that our prospect is a small business owner who wants to start selling a lot of their stuff online, right? So we do the same process with that person as we did in the previous slide. So step number 1, we begin by saying that he wants to escape from something, and in this case, the something is not having enough sales online or having any sales online. Okay, step 2, he wants to arrive or achieve a desired result at something, and there are a series of things or milestones that he has to do in order to arrive. Achieve his desired outcome. Remember, he wants to escape from not having any sales online to arriving at being able to sell a lot of his stuff online. So the first thing that he's going to have to do here, a milestone that he's going to have if he actually wants to sell stuff online, is he's going to have to have a website that's built. Okay, step number 3. So now all we're doing is simply mapping out all the stuff he's going to get through from point A to point B. Escape from here, arrive here. It's important to realize that we're not going to go super deep at this point. We're just mapping out the basic milestones he's going to have to achieve in order to get at his arrival point, his end destination. The second milestone he's going to have he's going to want to achieve or have to be able to achieve. He's going to have to be able to accept payments. Okay, you can't sell stuff online. It's not like he could have people calling him on the phone saying, hey, yeah, I'm on your website. I like this thing here. I need to give you my credit card number over the phone. That's not going to happen. So he has to be able to accept payments on his website. The third milestone he's going to have to do is he's going to actually have to build the fundamental pages on his website. He'll have to have like a home page, an about us page, a contact us page, a blog. And then he's going to have all of his marketing pages, which include, the opt-in pages and sales pages and thank you pages, and that's just to get started. And of course, now that he's got his regular pages and his marketing pages done, he'll need to craft his marketing messaging, right? So what do you say in your marketing messages? Well, you don't want to say, as I just kind of said a second ago, we have stuff for sale, so give us money. Thankfully, which is what a lot of businesses do, by the way. It's actually kind of comical. That's why my job pays so well. So he has to know what to say on his marketing and sales pages if he wants to sell a lot of his stuff online. Go figure. Now, if he wants to start getting a little more advanced, he's got to start automating all of his stuff, right? So what if someone opts in to find out more information? How do you follow up with them? What if they start to order, like this never happens, and then they abandon the shopping cart, What do you do, right? How do you make it where after they enter the credit card information, your fulfillment center or your business knows to send them something? Things like that. That's all involved with automation. And then once they have it all built, they're going to need lots of highly qualified prospects coming to the site. So they're going to need to generate some real good traffic, some quality traffic if they want to sell some stuff, right? Okay, so without leads, without traffic coming to his website, what's the point to even having one, right? If in the context of wanting to sell stuff online. And finally, they're going to graduate to more advanced level marketing stuff, so then they can sell literally a metric ton of stuff online. Okay, so if we look at this timeline, this is the stuff that the business owner is going to have to do in order to arrive at the destination of selling stuff online. I mean, if you think about it, he wouldn't want to start paying for traffic before he set up his opt-in and sales pages, right? Makes sense. So this is the order in which you must do it. This is the timeline that I spoke of earlier. So the first thing you have to do is set up your website. The second thing you got to do is set up your ability to accept payments and all that kind of stuff, right? And so on. You got it? Great. So this is where we get our big idea. As an example, the big idea for the content you want to create, or in your marketing, or even products or services, products you want to create or services that you want to offer. maybe to create lead magnets, tripwires, or even high-end products you can sell for lots of money. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually break down the milestone level in this process. Now don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do this for your business in just a few minutes, so hang with me. Here's an overview of how the milestone level works. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, a milestone is simply one of these things our business owner has to complete, our prospect has to complete along the escape and arrival framework path on our global timeline. For example, let's say that our business owner wants to escape from one thing and arrive at another thing, which is going to be, in this example, let's say set up the website. So we're going to actually break this down. So if we look back at the first milestone on our timeline, we can see that it was obviously to set up a website. In order to set up a website, there's obviously a bunch of stuff he's going to have to do. So we're going to repeat the process we used in the global level here in the milestone level, right? Our prospect wants to escape from having no website and arrive to having a website that allows him to sell stuff online, right? I didn't tell you, not only am I sick, but I'm actually having, this fever I'm having is affecting my ability to speak clearly. Just kidding. It's a battle, but I'm here and I'm happy to be here. So anyway, so to help him escape from no website to having a website, where do we go? What are the things we have to do to get this person through the milestones so he can arrive at his desired destination, right? The first thing he's going to have to do is find a domain name, a URL for his website. For you and I, this would be totally easy, a cakewalk. But for most business owners, this may be difficult. What if his name was taken and he couldn't get the domain that matched the name of his business? He'll have to figure out what all of the other options are so he can use it and get a good URL. Now this is, for you and I, like I said, this is a cakewalk, but for some of these, some business owners, this is a foreign language to them. It's just, so this is why this process is awesome, because now you can figure out, this is going to help you figure out what are the things you can do to help your ideal prospects. The next thing he's going to have to do in this process is buy the domain name from a company like Bluehost or, man, I need to bite my tongue on this one. I actually hate to say this. Please forgive me, but he could also call a company like GoDaddy. And by the way, I hate GoDaddy with a passion. Ken, tell us how you're really feeling about GoDaddy. Let me tell you again, I hate GoDaddy. Now, here's a disclaimer. Don't use GoDaddy. If you're on GoDaddy, I feel sorry for you. I typically recommend to all my clients to leave GoDaddy, no matter how much hassle it is, because life on the other side of GoDaddy is wonderful, at least in my experience. And so certainly, I'm sure GoDaddy is a wonderful company, but my experience with dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of clients and my own, excuse me, and my own experience personally has been nothing but major headache and let's pull out a gun and blow my head off. Just kidding. It's been terrible. So I don't recommend GoDaddy. So after he's got his hosting company set up, he's going to have to figure out, he's figured out where to host his website. He's going to actually have to choose a hosting company. For you and I, again, this is not a big deal, but for someone who's never had a website or set one up, it's a huge deal. This is not his first language, as I mentioned earlier, metaphorically speaking. So he's going to be like, what's the difference between Bluehost, GoDaddy, dang, I said it again, sorry. And as an example, like WP Engine. How do I know who I should use? This is your prospect. Who's good and all that kind of stuff, right? So these are things that you can help them with by breaking down the timeline. Next, he's going to have to set up his email. He's going to have, as an example, Ken at Ken's Glass Company or whatever, right? He's going to have to know how to set up and use cPanel, even on like a real basic level, to build all the back-end processes on his website. And if he wants to incorporate a blog into his website, he'll have to learn how to install and use WordPress, because so many websites are built upon WordPress today, which is actually awesome. And at the very least, he's going to need to have a homepage. something with his logo on it, and there's a little bit of information about his business on there. He's also going to need a contact me or contact us page or form as well. So if we have him do all these things, at the very least, this business will have a functional website. We've now taken that one milestone and we've mapped out the stuff that this business owner has to do in order to have a functioning website that actually exists, right? Obviously, there's much more that needs to happen on this website if he wants to sell a lot of stuff online, right? But I think you get the idea. Okay, so let's go through a second milestone, which is to accept payments. In this example, our business owner wants to escape from not being able to accept payments on his website and arrive at being able to accept payments automatically. So how does this process work? Well, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually take a drink of water. Actually, it's green tea. Sorry about that. And we're going to actually show him his choices for payment processors, merchant account providers. So he could use like PayPal, his bank's merchant account, Stripe, or he could use a higher volume type processor, depending on his business. He's going to need to know all that kind of stuff, right? Next, he'll need to know how to actually apply for the merchant account. It's not as easy as it sounds in a lot of cases because you're going to need to have like a federal tax ID number and all this kind of stuff, and you're going to need to have all that ready, and so forth and so on. Then once he's got a merchant account, he's still not 100% ready to accept payments because he still has to have a physical means of doing that. So he's going to need to get a shopping cart solution. He's not going to ask his website customers, as I mentioned earlier in this video, hey, pick up the phone and call me with your credit card number, right? So who does he use? Does he use one shopping cart, like Infusionsoft, or one of the seemingly millions, hundreds and thousands and millions, not literally, but seemingly, of other vendors to choose from? Okay. So once he's got his shopping cart, chooses that, he's going to have next. He's going to have to set up a process to talk. So his merchant account can talk to his shopping cart. Well, how do you do that? You've probably been there before yourself. Excuse me, I really apologize. And you really, you've been there before, I've been there. It's a very involved process, right? So for someone who's not an internet marketing person or a person who's really familiar with marketing and selling their stuff online, this could be quite an explosive, mind-blowing, extremely complex process. So never underestimate that. Just like reattaching and repairing a patient's fingers after they were hacked off with a chainsaw. That'd be a complex process for you and I. It's literally the daily grind for a trained hand surgeon, though. Now, I've got a buddy who's a hand surgeon, Dr. Mitchell Rotman, super talented physician I met when I was 27 years old, right after I was in that head-on collision with a dump truck. Most of you who know me know the story that I was in practice as a chiropractor and ended up I was involved in a head-on collision with a dump truck and literally lost everything. I had a very successful practice and then had this accident and then lost everything, and then it's just a long story. Nevertheless, it's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing now. But anyway, it's a pretty gruesome set of pictures. Nevertheless, let me see. Dr. Rotman has done four surgeries on my left hand and 2 on my left shoulder. And to him, every one of these surgeries has been a walk in the park. Now to me, he's restored and preserved a seemingly, somewhat as good as can be expected, normal way of living for me. Now, certainly if you looked at me, you couldn't really tell that I'd been in a really bad accident, other than the fact, if I was swimming or something, you would see some scars. But, he's really done a lot for me. He's the most down-to-earth guy you could meet, and interestingly enough, I didn't know this for a long time, but he plays French horn in the St. Louis Symphony, which is also very cool. You'd never know this, by the way, if you met him at a Starbucks or something. This is a really cool, down-to-earth guy. He's not like most physicians. Now, to him, complex hand surgery or performing with a professional symphony, that's like totally normal, everyday walk in the park stuff. Even though I practiced chiropractic for almost 16 years. And I've dissected, I saw about 100 to 125 patients a day. And I've dissected I take that back, dozens of cadavers. I think the fever's getting to me. But anyway, I dissected dozens of cadavers. Complex hand surgery, and especially playing a musical instrument, for me, is utterly foreign. It's totally foreign. I would be lost. I wouldn't really know what to do. My point's real simple. Your area of expertise and my area of expertise is just as normal to you and I as complex hand surgery is to Dr. Rotman, or generating new customers from the internet on demand is for me. The thing you're doing is just as mysterious to your clients as complex hand surgery, playing the French horn is to you and me. So never underestimate that. It's very important for you to understand that when you do this process. So finally, getting back to our milestone chart, we have to show our business owner how to integrate their shopping cart with their website. And you could do this, ad infinitum. You could go on and break this process down as much as you wanted to. So let's move on to the third milestone in this example, which is going to be to set up fundamental pages on the website. Our business owner wants to escape from not having any fundamental pages on his website and arrive at the point where he has them. So the first thing we have to teach him is how to use a web page builder. So does he use WordPress or OptimizePress or Dreamweaver? What's he supposed to use? What's he going to do once he chooses the platform and wants to start building pages, right? After that, he's going to have to actually build a product page because he's got to have that if he's going to sell stuff online. Next, he's going to have to, build a basic order page at the very least, right? If you're going to sell stuff online, if you're going to sell stuff on the internet, you're going to have an order page. I'll have to integrate the order page with the shopping cart and the merchant account, but guess what? If we hadn't already shown him how to set up the shopping cart and the merchant account, these pages would be worthless, right? So next, he's going to have a thank you page. He needs the thank you page so his customers can know that they've successfully placed their order. And he can also use this page for upsells or cross-sells, things like that. The thank you page is also a great place to sell stuff so you can recapture some of your costs for PPC. So as an example, let's say that you... it's just a little thing I'll inject real quick. Let's, say you're running ads on Facebook, which I absolutely love, and you want to recapture some of that money. So you can actually sell something on the thank you page to recapture some or most or all, and in some cases you can actually make even a decent little profit on that front end product. Now that product you sell on the thank you page, let's say that you're driving traffic to a webinar. Or in this case, we're talking about a product page, like a thank you page. You could immediately go into another product immediately. But my point was with how to recapture some of the money for your PPC costs. You run traffic, say, to a webinar. As soon as they opt in, then you can sell something right there. Typically not a very expensive item. But about 1 to 2, in some cases 3% of the people are going to actually take you up on your offer, and it's a great way to recapture that. So really, your traffic acquisition at that point can be free or pretty close to free, or actually you're getting free traffic plus making a profit on it. So anyway, back to the diagram. Lastly, we're going to have to integrate all these things together. So that's actually how, as an overview, this process is going to work. Now, I've created a worksheet for you, and below, I'm going to show you how you can take this big, massive stuff and boil it down to 3 specific areas that you're going to want to talk about in your marketing, right? This process is about to get even more simple for you. What we're going to do now is help you figure out the best, most effective things you can say in your content and your marketing to attract your specific ideal prospects. And actually below the video, in the notes or the description, and I think I'll touch on this again in a bit and remind you, there should be a link. I'm going to actually put a link for you to be able to download download the worksheet. It's a PDF format. So anyway, the slides that I'm about to show you are available for you in PDF in that worksheet. And as I just mentioned, you're going to be able to download you'll find the link down in the description area or like in the notes section. But my best recommendation for you now is that you go through this with me, and then you download the worksheet after we're done. Just follow along with me, and then once we're done, you can go back through the worksheet. It's all self-explanatory. Now, the purpose of the worksheet is to simply map out every milestone your prospect's going to have to pass through in order to escape and arrive. And specifically, it's going to help you find the most important ones is to relate to the stuff that you're selling, whether it's a product or service. This process is also going to help you figure out that there are a lot of things that you could do, but that you're simply not going to, you're not going to want to mess with them, which is normal. So let's start the process with another example. Here's the global framework we used earlier for a business owner who wants to actually go from not selling any of his stuff online to selling his or her stuff online, and lots of it, right? Remember, in this example, the business owner has to set up a website, accept payments, and all the rest of the stuff outlined here in the timeline. I want you to notice that in this particular process, we're just mapping out the big picture. We're not listing all the details of each milestone like I showed you in this setting up the website example. That's at the milestone level. We're just listing the milestones themselves in this global overview. We don't have to build content around each milestone here either, but we do need to know what the milestones are so we can better relate to our prospects' needs and be of better help to them before and after they become a customer. This is real important. Okay, so we're going to fill in the details for the milestones we want to create content for when we get to the milestone level. Remember, this is the global level. So I want you to use the template on the next page to brainstorm your global, the next slide, your global framework. I want you to mimic what I've created right here. So in this global example, I have the person I've taken them from not having a website, followed by all the other major milestones he's got to pass through in order to arrive at the abilities to sell stuff and, hopefully a lot of it online. So what I want you to do really quickly with me, by the way, is to go and map it out in this worksheet. So go ahead and download the PDF worksheet down below, as I mentioned. You'll see the link for it below, right? So you can download your PDF worksheets in the notes and descriptions. I just went, go ahead and I'll wait for you. I'll give you about 10 seconds. Okay, now we're back. So go ahead and fill in the thing that your ideal prospect wants to escape from and where she wants to arrive. Then simply fill in the major, let's not get into too much minutia here, fill in the major milestones that she's going to need to go through. The cool part about this is that you don't need to be an expert at every milestone, as you're going to see in just a second. You don't need to worry about this because this process is designed to help you identify your best areas of work, which is cool. So in your worksheet, I've given you several extra copies to play around with. That was supposed to be funny, actually, because you can download and print from as many copies as you want from a single sheet. But I said that in a seminar one time, and people actually didn't get it, but nevertheless. So go ahead and use one of those extra copies now if you want, and we'll use the remaining extra copies for something else here in just a few minutes. Okay, go ahead and take a few minutes to fill it out. You don't have to know the answers to all the milestones. This is just an exercise we're running through, okay, which is cool. Just map out the major things that your prospect is going to have to do in order to escape from where they are and then arrive at the results that they want to get. Now, here's where this starts to get super, super easy. I want you to circle the 3 most important milestones that you might create content around, okay? These are going to be your 3 core pillars, remember? So let me give you an example. Back to the original global milestone framework I used in my initial example. Here's the global escape and arrival for a business owner who is not selling stuff online, which is what they want to actually escape from, and who wants to arrive to the point where they can actually sell, hopefully, a whole lot of stuff online. So you'll notice I've got all these milestones here, set up a website, accept payments, etc. Most of these are not my area of expertise, okay? Now over here on the right, I've got generating traffic, which, I'm super good at it, but it's not my area of expertise either. He's got to have these, but I'm not the best option for him to accomplish these milestones because I'm not a technical person. But notice how I've circled, I've kind of actually boxed 3 specific milestones here in the middle. These 3 milestones fall into the category where I am an expert. I can tell him how to lay out and create the marketing pages right. I know a good layout versus a bad layout, and I know all the manner of stuff that'll give him the best, most effective marketing pages possible, right? When you should use them, what's appropriate in what context, and all that kind of stuff. I know all about the marketing messaging, probably that one I'm an expert in more than anything else, right? So what to say on the pages, what to say on the videos, right? Copy and things like that, and marketing automation. Personally, I'm super hardcore into automation. In fact, I created and coined the term progressive adaptive response, right? Specifically about the automation of marketing funnels. Progressive adaptive response is an automated marketing method that speeds up your sales cycle by customizing your marketing messages based on the specific behavior of each of your prospects on an individual basis. It's probably best known for helping you become ultra magnetic to your perfect prospects and customers. Here's the thing. On your global escape and arrive framework, I want you to choose the big 3 areas that you're most qualified in that will deliver, here's the caveat, that will deliver the most value to your prospects, because these are your 3 pillars. Every article and piece of content, every marketing piece, whatever it is, will be about these 3 topics. These 3 areas, these are your 3 pillars I was talking about at the beginning of this article. Okay, we're going to build a magnetic messaging. We're going to build your magnetic messaging around these 3 major areas. And this is how you find out what they are, right? So now we know that every article and every piece of content is going to be about these 3 topics, okay? What's cool is you can also take each one of these 3 topics and slice them down into, as detailed as you want to be. So there could be in each of these topics, there could be hundreds of different micro topics that you can write about. So let's say that we're going to look at a pillar number 1, which is marketing pages. That's one of my areas of expertise. So I can create content around marketing and marketing related web pages all day long. Well, here's how you figure out what to actually create your content around. It's the exact same process that we used above. We're now going to do this exercise at the milestone level. So in this example, our business owner wants to escape from bad marketing pages and arrive at good marketing pages that help him sell a ton of stuff online. Well, what are all the things he'll have to accomplish in order to get there? For starters, he's got to have a really good opt-in copy on his opt-in pages, right? We've got to figure that out. So next, we'll have to figure out the best layout of his opt-in pages. He can have great opt-in copy, but the layout of his opt-in page could be terrible, so we want to give him instructions for the perfect layout structure, right? Excuse me. Next, we could talk about long form copy and how to lay that out and make it look cool. And then we could also talk about VSL copy, the video sales letter copy. How do you do an effective video sales letter? Are you direct to camera? What's the optimal length of your video sales letter? Do you make it autoplay? What do you do and say on the last frame of the video, for example? All that kind of stuff. I could do the same escape and arrival framework for marketing messages, right? Marketing messages. So as an example, where to use hypnotic NLP, how to use open loops, how to use presupposition in your copy. As an example, how to grab your prospect's attention, how to do pattern interruption. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink. Sorry about that. How about 11 different ways to close the sale after you've made your sales presentation and the ultimate presentation formula structure, right? So if I'm doing automation, I could talk all about advanced automation. So once you know your three big things, you really just want to break each one down into little subcategories within those things, like I've just done with the marketing pages, and the other things. See? So if I'm going to go out to my market and place, and if I'm going out into the marketplace and I'm constantly putting out really solid material on, as an example, here's what opt-in copy should look like, and here are 5 different layouts of opt-in pages that are working great. I did a spontaneous video training not long ago where I had a pretty sizable number of people on it, where I just actually helped them with their marketing pages and their copy. And it was a huge value to these people, right? I was building up the value of my brand by doing that, and it generated a ton of goodwill. So that's the concept of how to do all this. You get it, right? It's actually really, really simple once you break it down like I've done for you here in this video. And certainly, I really enjoyed putting this video for you, putting this together for you. And certainly, I'm glad you're here, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And if you liked this type of training, you're really, really going to love the training that I go over with you in next week's video. So until then, hopefully I'll be feeling better by then, and hopefully you don't catch what I've had, because it's not fun being sick. But nevertheless, I was glad to do it, and I'm glad to be here. But time to go. So I will see you next week. Take care.